Here's what you can expect from tonight's debate. Not only the performance between the two candidates, Donald Trump and Joe Biden, but also from the media, CNN and the right-wing media. But let's start with the media coverage. CNN is going to spend a lot of time trying to focus on, I shouldn't say a lot of time, but they'll spend some significant amount of time trying to dispel or go against the rhetoric that they're liberal media and they're biased towards Joe Biden and they're going to be unfair to Donald Trump, right? But they don't want to be, there's kind of two sides, right? They want to dispel that idea to, where we're objective, whatever. But that will mean that they're going to try to pose some difficult questions for Joe Biden to show like, hey, we did ask him tough questions. We didn't just ask him softball. It wasn't unfair. It was whatever, right? But if they go too tough on Joe Biden, and when I say too tough, they don't have to go that tough against Joe Biden to get a lot of backlash from their audience. So there's going to be that thin line where they're trying to go tough and ask Joe Biden some uncomfortable questions potentially, but they want to do it in a way that doesn't go too far to where they get a lot of backlash from their core audience. But it's going to be something. They got to do something to try and play that objective. They're of course going to ask Donald Trump the typical questions about will he concede the election and January 6th, whatever, and what's this thing about being a dictator or whatever. I mean, nothing special about that, but that's going to be the general thing. So it's going to be the typical what you'd expect from a CNN type of event, other than, of course, like I said, them trying to push Joe Biden a little bit harder. There's going to be some angle about the age question. What'll be interesting is, will they bring up the many crazy things that Trump has said, right? Will they bring up those things, or will they conveniently not mention those things, but then mention a lot of the stuff from the right-wing media about him freezing up and walking off? But I don't know how you pose those questions without them going, too far in terms of the audience reaction, their liberal audience. But I wouldn't be surprised to see them sort of feeding off of a lot of right-wing rhetoric to some degree, which is going to be exact opposite of how they're going to be presented. They're absolutely going to be presented as it was unfair to Trump and they just wanted to go after him and blah, blah, blah. But in terms of reality, I think they're going to be a little bit biased towards trying to, challenge that sort of idea. Now, in terms of debate performance, now Donald Trump is the one who actually seems to have more of a cognitive issue. He struggles to, speak. I mean, at his rallies, you're guaranteed he's going to say something crazy. But ironically, the way Trump actually is the way that people perceive Joe Biden. And they'll even say that. Like, people will say Joe Biden, struggling to speak and doesn't know where he is at, but yet the actual instances that they talk about won't be examples of that, right? Because think about it. I just watched the Piers Morgan video and they were talking about how, Joe Biden saying crazy stuff or something like that. But think about the reality. What have been all the things that they've been harping on? So these are the people who've been attacking Joe Biden, saying he's old and blah, blah, blah. But even them, these are the ones, what have they been harping on? They haven't been harping on, they'll say that he says crazy stuff, but their actual examples won't be that. It'll be him giving a parachuter a thumbs up. Him at an event, a Juneteenth event, I think it was, where he wasn't dancing, which is not unlike how I would be. I'm not really a big dancer type of guy. I'm only 48 years old and I might look just like him. It depends. I might get into it a little bit, but I'm not really a big dancer. It would not be strange to see me locked up like that, especially, they're showing just that clip. Was he like that the entire time? I'm sure there's going to be some period of time. Listen, I was just at the funeral of my aunt and, there was periods of time where we were supposed to be singing and they had the lyrics on the screen. I didn't sing a single word. If you had me on video, I would have been just standing there looking around, right? Am I having cognitive decline or is that just me being me? I think Biden just doesn't, he's not a dancer, he's not a singer. But anyway, reality is though, that's not him saying something crazy. Him not dancing is not him saying something crazy. Him giving a thumbs up is not him saying things crazy. It's Trump who says something crazy almost every day. So pay attention and see if CNN brings that up. Do they bring up the reality of that, or do they feed into the right-wing rhetoric about this, him giving a thumbs up and whatever? Of course, that's not the way they're going to phrase it. Now, in terms of debate performance, Joe Biden is in a much better cognitive state than Trump. I think they both have cognitive issues for sure, but Joe Biden can speak much better. He can get into the details and explaining policy and all this kind of stuff, whereas Trump is more bullet points, he's more emotions. So that would mean that Joe Biden should be able to do decent in this debate. The main weaknesses will be he's going to seem weak and old and fragile, and it's going to be the equivalent of me debating a jock, right, about something that I'm very well knowledgeable about. And I have a family member who is that type of person, and I can't win with people like that, right? So if I do a debate with them, again, with something that I have knowledge over, like I'm the expert and they're not, they could beat me because And that's the thing about it. Even though Donald Trump is very thin-skinned, 13-year-old girl type personality, he definitely has that jock mentality of, just be loud and obnoxious and talk over. So, where I would be trying to use logic and facts and breaking it down and no, but 33% or whatever, arguing with a jock, they'd be like, oh, that's just, they could use numbers, whatever. And just like, so no matter what kind of detail I could come up with, no matter how many facts, they'll just knock it down with common sense, right? And you can't win in that scenario because, while the thing about it is it's more difficult for you to deal with facts like that and be concerned with accuracy. So that makes you vulnerable because while you're sitting there thinking and trying to make sure you're saying the right thing, they're just saying whatever and they'll walk all over you. They'll make you stumble on your words. They'll make you lose your thought. You forget what you were saying, right? So I think that's what's going to happen to Joe Biden. Joe Biden is going to be better at talking in detail about, his policies or giving good answers. But with Trump being 10 feet away, the muting of the mic probably is not enough so you can hear him. And even if you can't hear him, Biden can hear him. So Biden's trying to speak and make sure he's saying the right thing. He's thinking, right? And then Trump is making noise. And then maybe in the middle of his talking, he like stops and like he looks at Trump and, then makes some weird expression. And those are moments that the right-wing media are going to highlight for sure. But outside of that, I think Joe Biden will do decent. He's not going to blow things out of the water, although certain liberals will say he does. But he'll hold his own as long as Donald Trump allows him to. The thing is, will Donald Trump allow him to? How will Donald Trump perform? Donald Trump is going to definitely be asked some questions he doesn't want to answer, and he's going to evade those questions. And right-wing media is going to protect him, allow him to get away with it. A lot of the people that he's targeting are not going to notice how he evades certain questions, right? They're going to ask him something that's uncomfortable, and he's going to just say something else. That's going to be his main strategy. He has his bullet points. He wants to get his bullet points out. He wants to present an image of I'm tough and I'm young and Biden is feeble and old, and we got to save this country on the border, whatever. That's what he's going to focus on. So when they ask him something difficult that he doesn't have a good answer for, it's just deflect, whataboutism, or just spit out whatever talking points. But for someone who's not caught up, that'll be exposing his fraud and his scams, right? Because like, wait a minute, he couldn't answer that question. Like, why wouldn't he be able to answer that question? But they're not going to pick up on that because he's going to do a pretty good job at just motor mouth, and then all of right-wing media is going to cover him, right? So he's going to be good. Now, with that being said, either one of them can win the debate, just like how the election is being very close. I think the debate's going to be very close as well. Now, Trump team is going to try to play games about the drug testing thing. This was mentioned a while ago, but here's the thing for you to realize. If Trump really wanted to do a drug test thing, why didn't they make it a rule, right? They negotiated the rules for this debate. If he really thought that Biden was taking some kind of drug, then he would have made that a rule, right? But they mention it, then they get quiet about it. Then just before the debate, they bring it up again, and then supposedly saying Biden doesn't want to do it. So now they're going to make it like, oh, he doesn't want to do it because he's trying to hide something. But again, if they wanted to do a drug test, then they would have done a drug test, right? When they were setting the rules, that would have been one of the rules, right? Also, they're going to play games about it being unfair, saying it's CNN, blah, blah, blah. But they know what they were getting into. They've been talking bad about CNN forever. CNN is fake news, whatever. So why would you agree to a debate on a fake news network? You got a lot of news networks that Trump has not been attacking, right? They could have done it on CBS, ABC. I mean, so many other networks they could have done it on. Why do it on CNN if CNN is fake news and they hate you? And you saw his representative got cut off on CNN talking about Tapper doesn't like Trump. And okay, so why are you doing a debate with Tapper then? If Tapper, you know what I mean? So don't fall for the games, man. If they're gonna come and talk about how, if Trump doesn't do well because he said some craziness or whatever, they're gonna be like, oh, it was unfair. Know that that's part of the game, man. They're playing you guys for fools, right? They knew what they were getting into. It's not like, oh, we went to CNN and we thought it was gonna be chill and then they did something. No, they knew. So that means if they're gonna talk about, oh, it's CNN, that means it's all part of the setup. It's all part of the setup from the Trump team. Other than that, Joe Biden is definitely gonna probably have some stuttery moments, and right-wing media are gonna highlight it and clip it, and they're gonna focus on it and make it seem like it's more than it is. I mean, they're defending the guy who said, we got to get to the oranges of the investigation, And then like 2 minutes later, he said oranges again, like 2-3 times. I mean, mixing up Pelosi with a Republican. I mean, the guy is just confused. But because Biden, at some point in time in the debate, is going to say something like, the American people who want to be free, and then maybe while he's Trump might set him up and say something to make it worse. So while he's Trump is like, he doesn't even know there is some kind of zinger, and then that makes it prolonged even more. So a big nothing burger, but right when we go, oh look, his brain is fried, right? A split second where Joe Biden has a funny look on his face, right? So pay attention to whether they challenge the substance of what Joe Biden said. his answers to the questions, right? His statements that he made? Or are they going to focus on that he stuttered here, or he looked kind of weird in some other situation? If they focus on that, that's to tell you that they lost. That's to tell you that Trump lost, right? Because if Trump really won this debate, they're going to talk about how Trump won, the things that Trump did, what he said that made him win. They're going to talk about the things that Joe Biden said that were wrong or made him lose. But if Joe Biden does a really good job, watch for them to focus on, oh, he looked like he froze for a second or he stuttered here. So just pay attention to that and don't fall for these games. So they're going to try to play the game about CNN is biased. They're going to try to play the game about the drug testing thing. Right? They're going to try to play the game about, oh, Biden stuttered, or some random 2-second clip of him looking weird, right? But what they're not going to do is talk about how Trump is not going to answer certain questions, and how he's going to play games, and how he's going to say stuff that's actually not true, and how he's going to overtalk Biden, right? And again, Trump has free reign to kind of do whatever he wants to do. Joe Biden, on the other hand, he's got to be, dignified, and he got to say the right thing. And, he has a lot of pressure on his side. So that's going to give him a vulnerability in terms of appearances, right? So if you get caught up on the emotion, on the surface level, then you're going to get caught up real easy. They're going to catch you up real easy with some clips in right-wing media. But if you are focused on the substance, then you will listen to what Biden says, listen to what Trump says, look at who answers what question, who doesn't answer what question. And don't get me wrong, while CNN is trying to be objective, appear to be objective, they might ask Biden something like about Gaza, but that's tricky because they might be on the same page. I think they are on the same page with Biden on that. So that's going to be a little sticky. But it might be something else that they might ask him that Biden doesn't want to answer, and he might duck it as well. But the master ducker is going to be goddamn Trump for sure. So I think that sums it up. That's what you can expect from tonight's debate. But the special part is definitely right-wing media is going to be looking all over for anything, an ounce of anything, to magnify it and make it seem like it's a big deal, to distract from the substance of the debate. All they want is some kind of Biden looked like he was confused or whatever. So the thing is, are you going to be smart enough to recognize whether Biden was actually confused, or is it just something where it's some trivial moment and then they're just going to present it as if he's confused, as they've been doing already, right? So the thing is, how smart are you? Are you going to be smarter than the games they're about to play, or are you going to be dumber than them and fall for the tricks? Anyway, this is Debate Me channel. Debate Me comment section below. Click on the like button, subscribe, smash that bell. Be well.